to Moyer's Competition Barbecue Team. That's our Jambo that we cook on, and of course, Jeremy Moyers is my son-in-law. My name is Bill Perkins. He married my daughter, and Bill over there is his neighbor. That's our team.
There you go. Keep going.
Well, we're in downtown Kennesaw here, looking to have another good cook. So Jeremy was telling me the other day that in the KCBS we were 63 overall and 36 in brisket for our first year to date. It's right at a year. We'll take that. That's not doing too bad, but we're looking to do more, and it starts here today in Kennesaw. So,
got any buns yet?
Sir?
Have any buns yet?
Buns?
Buns. For the jack draw? No. We've got 3 reserves, several thirds, but no grands yet. We're chasing it. We keep hitting around. We haven't closed the deal yet. Okay. How about an invitation to the invitational? No grands, so no. It's only if we get a grand. You just need points.
We're close. Today will be the day. Today's the day.
All right. Anything else?
No?
On the team.
Sir?
Name all the team members.
Jeremy, Bill, and Bill. Moyer's Competition Barbecue Team.
Objectively and subjectively evaluate. Each barbecue meat. That is presented to my eyes. My nose. My hands. My palate. I accept my duty. To be a 2013 Pigs and Peaches Barbecue Festival Barbecue Judge. All in for the truth. Justice. Excellence in barbecue. The American way of life. May be strengthened and preserved forever.
Number 1, look good, a little dry, a little spicy. Number 2, spicy, a little dry. Number 3, very spicy and very dry. Number 4, good flavor, moist. Number 5, good flavor, good texture, good tenderness. Number 6, good flavor, good tenderness, good texture.
Number 1 I liked, it was nice tenderness, nice spice, but a little spice to it. Number 2 was about the same. Number 3 was very dry, I thought. Number 4 didn't have too much of a skin to it, a little on the undercooked side. Number 5 was good with a good little bite to it. Number 6 had a very, very vinegar taste and seemed a little bit on the raw side.
Number 1 was a little bit tough, a little bit dry, a little bit salty in my opinion. Number 2, tough again, also dry. Very little texture to it. Number 3 was woefully overcooked. It fell apart completely. I couldn't tell anything that it was a chicken. Number 4 had very little flavor except for the sauce that it had. Number 5 was a well-cooked piece of chicken. I enjoyed the sauce. I enjoyed the bite. It was really good. And number 6 didn't quite get done.
My favorite was number 5. I think that was a perfectly done piece of meat. It was juicy, bite through skin, nice balance of sauce and the chicken flavor. Second to that was number 4 for me. Again, wonderful taste. It was boneless, but it was cooked nicely and had some nice juiciness. My least favorites were number 2. Sauce was a bit too cloying, overpowered the taste of the chicken. And then number 3, although the taste was good, it was overdone. The bone fell right off.
Hi, I'm Linda, and I enjoyed the chicken, but number 1 was a little bit dry. Number 2 was very dry. Couldn't even bite the skin. Number 3 was seriously overdone. Numbers 4, 5, and 6 I thought were pretty good, but just a little too heavy on the spice, on the pepper.
My favorite was number 1. I thought it looked great, tasted fantastic, but I had to knock it because the moisture was not there. It was just a little dry. Number 2, it was good all around, but there wasn't anything spectacular on the presentation, taste, or the texture. Number 3 was very soft, mushy, overcooked, and it was so hot that it just lit up my mouth. I had to kind of clear my mouth before I could taste the rest of them. Number 4, something about the appearance just did not appeal to me. It didn't have, the meat had not been browned, and then it had a clear honey glaze on it, so it gave the appearance of being almost undercooked. The 5th one I thought looked great, but unfortunately it just wasn't there on flavor. And the 6th one looked pretty nice, but undercooked, tough, and sort of a rubbery skin.
The ribs were overall really tasty. They were a bit on the tough side generally. I found that my second rib was really juicy and had a good light smoky sweet flavor to the outside of it. Overall they were pretty good.
Overall the ribs were very good. Number 6 was my favorite. Very tasty, tender, moist, very good.
Overall, the ribs were very tasty, pretty consistent across the table. Number 2, as you can see, was very, I totally hated number 2. It wasn't very good at all, but it was wonderful.
Are we going in order? Yeah, I liked number 4. I thought it had a good pull and a good flavor. Number 6 had a very strong smoky flavor and a taste I really couldn't identify. I don't know if it was bark from the wood that was giving it that bitter taste, or maybe some accelerant like a lighter fluid. But all in all, a very good round.
Yeah, all in all, pretty good. I was really interested in number 4 because it had such a unique taste, like apples or peaches. And I couldn't quite figure out if I loved it or not because it was so distinct, which really threw me for a loop. But I had a good number 6.
The entry number 1 had some very good flavor, but my particular bone was cold, so that kind of took away a little bit from it. The second one had a very distinct aroma or flavor to it, which was not what you normally get with a rib. It almost had a fish flavor to it. Third one also had a strange taste that wasn't in line with what we normally get with ribs. 4 and 5 were okay, nothing really spectacular about it. 6 turned out to me to be the best rib. It was just a tad bit sweet, but other than that, it was a very good rib.
My favorite was number 1. Even though the pull was overdone, the money muscle was just exactly right. And all these samples, 5 of the 6 had a money muscle, and it's unusual to see them all get the tenderness exactly right on the money muscle. I guess my 2 least favorites would have been number 3 and number 4. There was something unidentifiable in the crust that just ruined the taste. And in number 5, there was a distinct taste of charcoal lighter that permeated the entire sample, which ruined it for me.
I also loved number 1. Had a good vinegar sauce that complemented the flavor of the meat and the smoke without overpowering it. Like I said, there was a great taste of smoke as well. Good cook on it, except for the pulled was a little bit dry. But like the previous commenter said, the money muscle was just beautifully cooked. Number 2, the appearance of it in the box was a little bit off. It was just so covered in sauce, it took me aback a little bit. But then it had a great cook on it as well. The flavor for me was a little bit on the salty side, so I did have to adjust for that. The third one was overcooked a little bit, again on the pulled and quite mushy, but the flavor for me was pretty decent. Number 4 was also money mussel, was perfectly cooked, but there was sort of a greasiness to it, like it had been just bathed in fat or something, and so it kind of coated the palate, which was kind of unpleasant. Number 5 had very little flavor, smoke or pork or otherwise, and was pretty overcooked for me. And lastly, number 6, the box was definitely not a great look. I don't mind if you just put in shredded meat, but when you just pile weird pieces on top of that in a haphazard fashion, that's not appealing. But it was cooked pretty well, actually. But the smoke flavor on that was a little bit overpowering. I didn't taste the meat at all.
I really enjoyed submission number 2. I thought it was an excellent cut of meat. I thought it had a nice sweet tanginess to it, and the tenderness was perfect. My least favorite was number 4. That looked like a very fatty cut of meat. It had a strange lighter fluid taste to me that really ruined it completely. That's it.
I liked number 1 and number 2 almost equally. I thought they were very flavorful, very tender. My least favorite was number 4 and 5, but 4 had a strange taste to it that I can't identify, and the number 6 was on the dry side.
Interesting. This time I started with my last selection first. The last one on the number 6 first. And that ended up being my most favorite. It had a delicious flavor that was unique. It had a mustard base barbecue sauce on it, and the texture was spot on. Unfortunately, I didn't like the appearance when it was first passed around. But other than that, the taste and the texture were just a spot on entry for number 6 for me. My least favorite was number 1. It was mushy. It had no flavor, and I disliked it the most. Number 2 for me would probably number 3. The money mussel was very good. The taste was good. It was just too mushy. The least favorite of all was number 5. Mushy. Taste was unpleasant. And even appearance, it was not favorable.
Flavor-wise, my favorite was number 6. I really liked it. Then my second favorite would have been number 3. Number 1 had a good presentation in the box. It was a little overcooked, but other than that, no, it had a good flavor. Number 2, to me, was a little dried out, but it did have a good flavor. Number 5 was kind of funky. No, I don't know. It just had a bad taste. Presentation wasn't good. And number 4 was overall pretty decent pork. No, he had a good presentation. And
all right, my most favorite was number 2 and 3. They were about tied. The least favorites were 5 and 6 because I couldn't pull either one of them apart. They were like leather.
Seat number 2. I think my favorites were 1 and 2, and probably 1 was a little bit better. They had a great taste to them, and they were nice and tender. My least favorite was 5 and 6, and 5 was probably a little bit tougher than the sixth one, and I wouldn't recommend either one of them to be to anyone. Next.
Seat number 3. Number 1 was my favorite one. Very tender and moist, had a very good flavor, very good smell to it. Texture was excellent. I would call it meat butter. Number 6, 5 and 6, between those two, not my favorite. Nice smoke ring, but very tough. Not a lot of taste. Was not easy to tear. Didn't care for either one of those.
Seat number 4. My favorite was number 1. Nice bark, good tenderness, good taste. My least favorite was number 6. Very tough. Did have a nice bark on it, but again, tough, no texture to it.
I'm seat number 5. I think in agreement with the rest of the table. Number 1 is my favorite. It definitely had a nice sweet zip to it, good bark, and it was not overdone. Number 5 was my least favorite. It was definitely the most overcooked, very dry, and a little too tasteless.
Seat number 6. My favorite was number 1. The texture was perfect. Had a nice snap to it. It certainly didn't fall apart. And my least favorite was number 6, which was tough, and there was a strong alcohol flavor to it.
This is bacon category. Entry number 1 had some really good flavor. Had a little bit of mixture of bacon and sausage. Entry number 2 was bacon wrapped pepper, and then also had some bacon dipped in some chocolate. It was really good. Entry number 3 seemed to be some kind of a donut product with bacon in it. It was very good. Number 4 was some kind of pork wrapped in bacon. Same thing with number 5. Number 6 was some kind of pastry. It had some bacon and cheese and some spices mixed in with it.
I'm up. This is the bacon category. I really liked the pastry, number 3. Number 6 wasn't bad either. I didn't really know what it was, but it was good too. I liked it. And this one was good just for the brutal taste of bacon, which I liked. So.
This is bacon category. I like number 1, 3, and actually I like number 6 because it seems like it's more of a northern flavor pasty type item. It's sweet inside. It's very good, just a little overdone. The hot pepper, if that could have been at the very end of it because it overpowered everything a little bit. It took a while to get back the taste on it. Number 4 was a little overdone, but it still had a good flavor. Number 5 had no flavor at all on any of it. But overall, the little cold pastry type item was very good also.
You don't take lard.
Bacon. The first one, the bacon wrapped bacon, was really good. The pastry was, of course, the best. The number 6, the sandwich, was excellent too. And that's about it.
Number 3 was the best. It had a really good sweet with salty combination to it. Number 2, it had a really good flavor in the filling, but the pepper was super hot. I think my least favorite was probably number 5. The meat was a little tough on the inside, and the flavors didn't really go together.
So what do we?
First, your best one, least one, and why?
Okay. I believe my favorite item was the 3rd item. I do like the sweetness with the salty. It brought the bacon flavor, but also brought a nice little mix to it. Although honorable mention goes to the first one, which is taking the bacon literally. Bacon wrapped in bacon, covered in bacon. So you're really taking the bacon and taking it to a whole new level. I think the one that I didn't care for as much was probably the 5th one. just from a textural perspective. The flavor was solid, but the texture itself was a little bit lost. The outside wasn't cooked as well, so you had a chewy bit of a texture, and then you had a different texture on the inside. They just didn't play as well together as some of the other things. But again, it is bacon, so nothing's really bad here. So.